A long time ago, there was a great kingdom called Nuristan, famous for its glory, knowledge, justice, and fairness. When the morning sun touched the tall golden towers of the royal palace, it seemed as if molten gold was flowing down the walls. The ruler of that land, King Jalaluddin Ruknpur, was a wise, kind, and just monarch. Under his rule, no one went hungry, and no plea for justice ever went unheard. But the king had grown old, and one worry troubled his heart: who would inherit his throne after him? He had a grandson, Prince Taimur bin Fira, who was arrogant, stubborn, and spoiled from childhood. The best teachers were assigned to him, but Taimur cared little for learning. He preferred games, hunting, and palace parties. His so-called friends were flatterers who only fueled his pride. The king often sighed in sorrow. If this boy becomes king after me, this kingdom will turn from light to darkness. One day, King Jalaluddin was in his court hearing the people's petitions when the great doors opened. Prince Taimur entered, dressed in fine silk, chin held high, pride radiating from his face. The king smiled faintly. "Come, Taimur. What brings you to my court today?" Taimur bowed slightly and said in a proud tone, "Grandfather, I haven't come to ask, I've come to claim what's mine. I am your grandson, and the throne is my right. You're old now. It's time I become king." The court fell silent. The nobles and guards stared in shock. The king's eyes shimmered with sadness, yet his voice remained calm. "Son, a throne is not earned by blood, but by wisdom and justice. A man without compassion for his people can never be a true king." Taimur smirked. "Grandfather, your old ideas don't work anymore. Times have changed. Ruling a kingdom requires power, not pity." The king sighed deeply. Then, with quiet confidence, he said, "Very well, Taimur. If you believe you deserve the throne, I'll give you the chance. Tomorrow you will be king, but for one day only. From sunrise to sunset, the kingdom will be under your command. Do whatever you wish. But when the sun sets, I'll ask you just one question. If you can answer it correctly, the throne will be yours forever. If not, you'll never speak of kingship again." Taimur laughed. "One question? That's all? How easy. You'll see, grandfather. The day I rule will be remembered for ages." The king smiled and ordered his vizier, "At dawn, crown Taimur as king and open every gate of the palace to him." Morning came. The drums rolled, and the shouts of "Long live the new king" echoed through the palace. Taimur, dressed in royal robes, placed the crown upon his head, and gazed proudly into the mirror. "Today I am King Taimur," he declared. The ministers bowed, soldiers saluted, and the people cheered. Pride swelled in his chest. "From today," he announced, "there will be no laws, no poor, only my will shall rule." His first command: "Open the royal treasury. Distribute gold among my friends. Let there be celebration throughout Nuristan." The music began. Dancers filled the halls. Elephants paraded through the streets, drummers played in every market. The people were astonished but soon began to celebrate too. Only the ministers looked uneasy. The Grand Vizier whispered, "Your Majesty, the royal treasury is the people's trust. Waste will bring ruin." Taimur laughed. "Old man, this is my day. Let me enjoy it. Save your rules for tomorrow." By noon, gold coins scattered across the floors. Gems, pearls, and silks were thrown to the crowd. People rushed to grab whatever they could. The vizier stepped forward again, worried. "Majesty, if the treasure keeps flowing like this, by evening nothing will remain. How will the kingdom survive?" Taimur glared. "Don't worry about that. The people are happy, that's my victory." The vizier sighed and stepped back. By afternoon, the palace had turned into a carnival. Drums thundered, wine flowed, dancers twirled. Taimur's friends, drunk with luxury, whispered, "Your Majesty, now that you are king, shouldn't we punish those who ever opposed you?" Taimur grinned. "Yes. Arrest every man who ever dared insult me. Let them see who rules now." Within hours, soldiers captured old merchants, village elders, even Taimur's childhood teacher who had once scolded him. The vizier ran to the king, horrified. "Your Majesty, these men are loyal subjects. They've served the kingdom faithfully." Taimur's voice turned cold. "I am the law, and my law says, whoever raises their head before me shall lose it." From the balcony above, King Jalaluddin silently watched. A deep sadness shadowed his face. But he remained quiet. The test was not over. As the day faded, Taimur ordered a grand festival in the capital. "Let there be races, music, fireworks. Build a statue of me in gold. The world must remember King Taimur, who changed history in one day." When the statue was raised, its golden plaque read, "Here stands the king who transformed a kingdom in a single day." Taimur smiled proudly, until chaos erupted outside. Fire! Fire in the grain stores. People are starving. The wells have run dry. The vizier rushed in. "Your Majesty, the people have no food or water. They're crying in the streets." Taimur waved a lazy hand. "Tell them tomorrow will be better. Today is my day of joy." The vizier's voice trembled. "Majesty, without the people, there is no kingdom. A throne made of gold is still dust if its people die hungry." Taimur frowned. "Enough. Stop your gloomy talk. Go enjoy the celebration." The evening sun dipped lower. The palace grew quieter. The laughter faded. The friends disappeared one by one. The treasury stood empty. The soldiers left. Taimur looked around. He was alone. Outside, the last rays of the sun slid behind the hills. He remembered his grandfather's words. "When the sun sets, I'll ask you one question." Fear gripped him. He ran to the royal chamber. There, King Jalaluddin sat calmly, smiling. "So, Taimur," he asked softly, "how was your day as king?" Taimur bowed his head. "Grandfather, I did everything I wished. Yet now everything feels empty. The gold is gone, my friends are gone, the people are angry, and my heart feels heavy." The king nodded. "Then tell me, Taimur, what is kingship?" Taimur's eyes filled with tears. "Today I've learned kingship is not gold or power or the throne. It is the weight of justice carried on a man's shoulders. I was king for a day, but you, grandfather, are king for all eternity." King Jalaluddin smiled and embraced him. "My son, that was the answer I wanted to hear. You haven't lost, you've won. To become king is easy. To remain one with justice, that's the true test." Outside, the sun disappeared completely. Taimur took off his crown and placed it at his grandfather's feet. For the first time, he felt peace in his heart. The next morning, the palace was silent. The celebration was gone. The people gathered outside, hungry, sad, and broken. Taimur went out among them. A frail old woman pointed at him, trembling. "Yesterday you promised happiness, but today our children starve. Where is your promise, O king?" Taimur's throat tightened. He remembered the words of the poor fakir from last night. Kingship is not what you gain in a day, it's what you never lose, even in a single day, justice. He walked back to the palace and said, "Grandfather, allow me to go among the people. Let me heal what I destroyed." The old king smiled. "Go, my son. The true king is not crowned in a palace. He's crowned in the prayers of his people." Taimur dressed simply and rode into the city. No guards, no gold. The same people who had feared him yesterday watched in disbelief. He freed the prisoners he had unjustly jailed, including the old teacher he had once insulted. "Forgive me, master," he said, kneeling. "Pride blinded me." The teacher placed a trembling hand on his head. "Wisdom is the light that makes power human. Today, you have become my true student." Taimur compensated the merchants whose stores had burned, fed the hungry, and announced, "Anyone who suffered from my cruelty shall receive justice today." Within days, peace returned to Nuristan. Children laughed again, markets reopened, and the people gathered outside the palace, this time to bless their prince. King Jalaluddin watched from his balcony, tears shining in his eyes. "You see, my vizier," he said softly, "sometimes a single day of kingship teaches more than a lifetime on the throne." The vizier bowed. "Majesty, it seems Nuristan's future is safe. Prince Taimur has learned that a throne is not built with gold, but with service." Months passed. Taimur lived among the people, eating in their homes, helping orphans, and listening to their problems in the mosque courtyard instead of the palace hall. Pride melted from his heart, replaced by mercy and light. One day, King Jalaluddin fell ill. Taimur held his hand. "Grandfather, you changed my life. Now rest, your kingdom is safe. I will protect it." The old king whispered, "Son, that one day of kingship gave you a treasure for life. Mercy and justice. These two make a man greater than a king." Smiling peacefully, he closed his eyes and passed away. Taimur carried his grandfather's coffin on his shoulders. Standing before the people, he vowed, "I will not be the king who gives away gold. I will be the king who gives justice. I will not celebrate, I will wipe away tears." Years later, when Taimur finally took the throne, the people called him Taimur the Just. In his reign, no one went hungry, no one cried for justice. And every year, on the same day he once ruled for a single day, Taimur stood at the palace gates, feeding the poor and saying, "This is the day I did not win a kingdom, I won my humanity."